I think we have an expert here, the Sandesh Mistry. He is a director for MBMC Consulting. He is in the active alumnus of the SPGN Institute of Management and rich experience of 24 years. And most important is that 13 years consulting is mainly for the family businesses and the specialization in how to build the sustainable growth for the family businesses. So Sandesh, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you all. And thank you, Vipul and Charles, because you have finished your presentation in time. I have a lot of time. And also we can eat in time. Okay, the subject is Go Fly High. When Shantanu called me to invite me as a speaker for this forum, he wanted somebody who can tell you all about wealth management. I said, that is not my subject. I can tell you about how transition can happen in family and business when the new players come in, new generation come in. How do we need to manage the business? And second is, how do we manage profitable growth? Because that is something which I find many of the small entrepreneurs and medium-sized entrepreneurs are finding it very difficult to do. And in the meantime, I had sent him our book. We have written a book called Go Fly High. And I think some of the other members, they browsed through the book, which has caricatures and everything, and they said, no, we want this. Can you talk on Go Fly High? So I said, I'll make an effort, and here it is, Go Fly High. I am going to tell you a story. This is not a technical presentation. But I think you will enjoy this story. And this story is of a hero called Rajan. Now, Rajan is a person who has started his own business from scratch and has grown it to around 25 crores. And his mentor and his childhood friend called Manu. Manu is a friend who meets Rajan after almost 15 to 18 years. And he sees that the growth Rajan has done. He's very happy about it. And when he's talking to him, he finds something which is missing. He does not find Rajan to be enthusiastic about the growth that he has done, and there is some missing element. So how the story unfolds? Rajan built his business from scratch. He is intelligent. He is an engineer by background. He understands the market. He tries to seize through the market, and he develops product and services which is the right gap, and he knows whom to sell. Above all, he also had another ability, which is making right promises to right customers. I think this is something which all entrepreneurs possess this quality, is making right promises to right customers. He walks an extra mile when he starts the business. He tries to get the right clients. He tries to deliver in time, and his business starts growing. He was in total control of his business when he started the business. Then what happens? With his efforts, vision, dreams, dedication, Rajan's business starts growing. Very, very simple story which happens in most of our lives. We have seen this happen. As business grew, he has employees, not able to deal with customers directly because now the business is growing. He is unable to make the promises to customers, and he is unable to meet his customers directly and talk to them. In effect, what happens is wrong promises were made to customers. Promises of delivery, promises of service, which are wrong because the customers also sometimes are wrong, which are not the ones who could value his service, resulting to unsatisfied customers. And what happens to Rajan? He becomes the problem solver. Because now all the customer calls are coming to his desk and customers are complaining, and he sees that the natural reaction to all this thing is that I have to solve these problems. So Rajan, day in, day out, is coming to office and solving all the problems of the day. He starts his day with 10 problems. Finishes the day with 7 problems solved, carried forward 3 problems. Next day again, carried forward opening balance of 3 problems. Again 10 problems. Day in, day out, he is doing the same thing. And he finds that something is missing. So his company is vain. He's got all the stress of growth. The more his business grows, the more he got busy managing it. And then Manu knows that Rajan was stuck. He has built a business, he has built an empire, he has grown it to a reasonable level, and now he is getting too busy managing it. So what mantra he gives to him? He says, when you started a business, you had market alignment. You knew what product you're selling. You knew what customers would value that product. You knew how to charge it. You knew how to make the right promises to the right customer. And then what happened? You hired people without telling them what we are trying to do, without telling them what kind of service we are providing, why this service is important to you and why you should pay us. So without this understanding, when you made promises, you got into a market misalignment. Now that resulted into what? That resulted into all problems coming to your table and you become a problem solver. Now, instead of growing the business, you are spending maximum 98% of your time solving the problems of the business. This needs to be corrected. If this needs to be corrected, now you have to think, Manu's mantra number 1, which is the right market, which is the right customer, which is the right product, who will value what I am selling. And if I need to correct this, which are the customers I should look at and which are the customers I should continue and which are the customers I should not work with. Very, very clear what I am delivering and what the customer is going to get and how he will pay me extra for the services that I am going to give. So this is the rule number 1, realign the market. Then it is, he asks a question, Manu asks a question to a Rajan, Rajan, are you a businessman or a self-employed person? Now any businessman, if you ask him a question, are you a businessman or a self-employed person, he would always say, I am a businessman. But Rajan is a little confused because Manu is a friend, a very dear friend, and he's asking a question, so he does not want to offend him. He said, what do you mean by this? He said, let me explain it to you. The rule is very simple. What are you investing in your business? Your time, your money, or both? Rajan says, when I started a business, I had no money, so obviously I was investing my time. And as I grew the business, I had money. But since I have already started investing the money, I also invested my time. So if you see, actually, right now, I am investing my time as well as my money in the business. And that is why my stakes are very high. Second question, can you afford to exit the business? Just now Charles was saying that you need to exit for the investor, but can you afford as a businessman to exit your business? And the answer is no. If you cannot afford to exit the business, that means the business is revolving around you. If you don't come to office for next 10, 15 days, everything will go for a toss. And that is a very dangerous situation. Third thing is, do you think you have grown with the business? Certainly, he says that I have learned a lot of things. But if you see personally, I have not grown with the business. I am doing the same old things again and again, and which is keeping me occupied. So if you see, I have not grown with the business the way you are asking me. So hence Manu explains to him that you are not a businessman. You are a self-employed person who has invested his time and money in the business and who is running around to make the show run so you can earn money. So the business is totally dependent on you. Now what do you need to do? So if you see the caricature, the business is growing, Rajan is climbing the ladder of growth, but the entire pressure is on him. So the simple question is, when you have people working for you, why are you so busy and under stress? Why there is a sudden incompetence that you experience in your people? Most of us experience this. Most of us feel that suddenly our good people who used to give results have stopped giving results because we have promoted them. And this is a sudden thing that hits us. So the real explanation to this is that our people, when we started, were good and they are still good today. They are hardworking. And their success formula is something that has given them success in their work. But the new role demands something which is very different. Their way of doing things has to change, which they don't change. And in the new positions, they are working in the old way of doing things, and that is not matching. That is why the results are not coming. So either you have to acquire new skills or recruit new people. You have to train your people and understand what the new job requires, and they should use those kind of skills, or you have to recruit new people. Delegate activities. He says you delegate activities, which requires what? Which requires specialized knowledge. which requires analytical judgment. But don't delegate something which requires instinctive judgment, because that is your skill. That is the owner's skill. That is where your business is doing good, and that you should not delegate. Decisions. Make a process of how to make decision and who will make it. Then only you can delegate, because that is something which is very, very important. We want people to take control, but we don't want them to take decision, or we want them to take decisions, but we don't tell them how to take decisions. What is accepted criteria of taking decisions and what needs to be done for decision taking. So the second mantra Manu says is look at your management and build capabilities in your management so you are in a position to run and grow this business, and the business will grow without you for day-to-day routine activities. So that is the second mantra that he gives, build management. Third thing, I think this is something which everybody of us experience. In the initial stages when the business is started, Rajan says that as his sales increased, his profits automatically increased. And I think all of us know the answer, because our overheads are less. This is something which is possible. And our indicator of success, the key performance indicator is sale kitna kiya bhai? How the sale has increased. We are only tracking one number, that is sales. And if sales increase, we are taking it for granted that our profits are going to increase automatically because our costs are low. But as business grows, there's a new equation that comes. Sales increase does not equal to profit increase. Now this is something new. We have never thought of this. We are working very hard. We are getting more and more sales. We are running behind getting the orders and also fulfilling the orders day in, day out for 8 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, 24 hours. And still we are not getting profit. What is the problem? And still our indicator for business performance is sales, which should not be. We have to have a different indicator to understand why we are not getting the profit. So Manu explains to Rajan that if you know, costs behave very differently. And there are 4 types of cost. There is a productive cost, there is a supportive cost. What is productive cost? Productive cost is something which is spent on delivering the service or making the goods or making the products that you want. That is something which is productive cost. What is supporting cost? Supporting cost is your accounts, supporting cost is your administration, supporting cost is your HR, supporting cost can be your housekeeping, IT, everything is supportive, which is required to run the show. You cannot do without it. Third is the policing cost. This is supervision, excessive supervision, controls, charts. This is required, but to what level that we have to decide. And fourth is waste. If you see, cost behaves very differently, and in the initial stages, he explains to Rajan that productive cost is the only thing where value is getting added and is the only thing for which your customer is paying you money. And in the initial stages, this is what it looked like. Almost 80% was productive cost and 20% was all 3 other costs. But as you grew, you had made investment, you have taken people, this equation changed from here to here. Now that is eating up your profit, and that is putting pressure on your profit. And although you are doing more sales, you are unable to get the profit that you want. Earlier, many of the businesses that we meet, many of the clients that we meet, earlier their business is earning something like 12%, but now they are earning something like 3%, 4%, something of that sort. What is the reason? This is a simple reason, that they have cost and overhead costs, which are supportive, policing and waste, have gone up drastically and which is not taken care of. So he says, what do you need to do? Understand first thing, profit is not only surplus over expenses, but also investment for future growth. All of us make a simple mistake. We think that profit is only surplus over expenses. But our profit does not become sustainable because we don't see it as an investment for future growth. And this needs to be corrected. Also, if you want to grow business, Manu tells Rajan that scale requires investment before revenue. So if you want to grow, the problem is that revenue will come later. First you have to invest. And if you have to invest, you have to understand what is the kind of investment that you need to do so you can get the revenue that you want. Now here the example which I want to give is that if I have 2 offices and then I start expanding, 2 offices are something which is manageable for me because I can shift resources here and there. It is in the same city. If I have multi-locational offices, if I have to increase it from 2 to 8, problem is that I need to have staff, I need to have certain additional departments, and then maybe 8 is not the right number, but maybe 15 will be the right number, which will make this additional cost sustainable. Most of the time we don't understand what is that additional number that we need to work on. We just go on investing, looking at the sale and looking at the requirement, that number of offices that we need to open up. But the problem is that we don't understand what is the scale that we want to have to understand where the profit zone is. We generally don't understand where the profit zone is. And generally, if you see, from 2 to 8 might be a loss zone, but from 2 to 13 or 15 can be a profit zone because your overheads can get easily absorbed with that number. So you need to think of what kind of growth that you need to do. So his third mantra is that you understand your business model. What you are doing today and what you will need tomorrow, your business model is going to change. And if you don't understand that business model, then you will make the mistake of growing at such a number which will be an unprofitable number, or it will be eat your money. So that is something that you need to understand. So third thing is understand the model. Fourth, very important thing again. We all of us plan, but when we plan, most of the time we underestimate our money requirements. He tells to Rajan that you must be doing lot of planning, what kind of sales you want, what kind of money that you want to spend. But most of the time we don't plan it in a way that we know what are the money requirement do I need to run this business smoothly. Cash flow is the something which is most neglected area in most of the SME businesses which I have seen. So he says you have to look into it. And what is the growth formula that you need to look at? Very simple, LPG. If you understand what is LPG, you will never forget what is LPG. Growth happens only when the sequence is liquidity, profitability and growth. I think people can vouch for it, but this is the only sequence that works when you are growing. If you try to change this, it does not work. If you don't have liquidity and if you try to grow, you will come in trouble. You can be profitable, but still you will have to close down your business because of low liquidity position that you have. So this LPG formula during growth is very, very important. You have to first provide for the liquidity, then you can look for profitability, and finally for growth. If that is then, because deficiency of vitamin M diverts your attention. Diverts your attention from what? Diverts your attention from market, diverts your attention from management issues, and diverts your attention from the model that you want to work on. All these things are very, very important when you are growing. But if you have money problem of liquidity, if you are unable to run your business smoothly, then you will not do justice to your business. So you have to provide for your cash flow requirements, the liquidity requirements of the business. This is something like the fuel in your car. You can own a Mercedes-Benz, but if you are driving at a very fast pace and the fuel tank shows that you are on an empty tank, it is not going to run for long. And everybody of us know it, but everybody of us makes this mistake that when there is low fuel, we want to accelerate and speed. That is not going to be possible. So understand what your money requirement and raise adequate money, because that is something that will help you run your business and grow your business. If there is problem with money, you will get so entangled with solving those problems that you will not be in a position to grow the business, but you will get engaged into raising funds kind of activity. And the last thing, create a common goal by setting the right direction and secure a buy-in. This secure a buy-in is very, very difficult thing. most of the time, I have seen that everybody wants to grow, but the problem is that there is no common goal. Everybody is working towards growth, but they have all different numbers. More so in family businesses, the first generation wants to grow by 20%, next generation wants to grow by 60%, somebody wants to grow by 40%, but they don't sit down and understand what is the common goal that we want to achieve. And why I see the numbers that I see and why you see the numbers that you see. And can we transfer and secure buy-in from the next in line so they can also work for this common goal? This is a very, very important step, but this is not generally dealt with in a right perspective. So he says that create a common goal for your organization and set the direction right and secure buy-in from the next in line, because they are the ones who are going to work on your business, they are the ones who are going to manage the day-to-day of the business, and they are the ones who will give you the profit that you desire. Next. Set the rules and the roles. What rules, what framework, what kind of yes and no that we will do and we will not do? What is it that in our organization we will follow rigorously? And what are the roles which everybody is going to play and how those roles are going to contribute to the common goal that we are trying to achieve? Again, this is not clear. This is what in many of the family business I see they have HR problem. This is nothing but the HR problem that they are unable to verbalize. You have to set the rules, how we are going to do work, and the roles, who's going to do the work. Then he says, in your organization, Rajan, please break the comfort zone. Because most of the time, we get into an attitude where everything is good, that chalta hai attitude is very, very predominant. Chalta hai, kar lenge, dekh lenge, baad mein karenge. All those things are very, very common. So break that comfort zone, raise the bar, create a goal which will make your people think differently. Their success formula will not work for that. Build a belief that we can do it. As a team, we have that capability. We can certainly do it, because this is something which will give them the motivation to do things, create that positive energy in the organization. His mantra number 5 is create momentum. If you can create momentum, then only things will move. So, to sum up, Manu says 5 things. Look at realign the market, build management capability, work on the business model and understand what is the new model going to be, raise adequate money so you don't have liquidity problems, and build momentum in your organization that will help you generate positive vibes and help people drive the organization. Why I am telling you this story? Because I believe inside all of us there is a Rajan who is sitting there and who has lot of questions to ask, but he does not know where to go. We have lot of aspirations. I believe 90% or 95% of entrepreneurs want to list their company in BSE. And this is one of the dreams that everybody has, कि मेरा company का share issue आना चाहिए. We have lot of aspirations, but the whole issue is that this Rajan is stuck. He is not in a position to get out of the day-to-day routine work that we are doing. And we feel, most of the entrepreneurs at the day end, they feel frustrated. Because if you ask them question, आज आपने काम क्या किया है? So they have only solved, majority of them have only solved problems of the day, and they have not thought about what is the growth that I want to make, how I'm going to grow, how my business will grow. They have not spent enough time on that. And if you can't spend time on this, then growth will remain a distant dream. Because you have to understand, just like human body, when we say growth in human body, it means muscle, fat, or cancer. All three are type of growths. Similarly, and everything has a different treatment. If you have muscular body, you will have long life, you have active life. If you have fat, then maybe you may not lead that active life. But if you have cancer, you require surgery. Similarly in business growth can be explained in these 3 terms. You have muscular growth, where your top line grows and overall efficiency of the organization grows in the same direction at the same pace. When your fat growth, when your sales grows, the overall efficiency does not grow at the same pace but at a little lower pace. And when you have cancerous growth, only sales grows, everything goes down. And most of us are stuck in the fat or cancerous growth. And we are not ready to look at that. And we are generally, I have seen people say that we'll come out of it because we have started the business and we know what to do. But this is not going to happen. If it's a cancerous growth, you will need surgery for your business. The right thing for all of us to do is to find our own Manu, who will ask us questions, who will guide us through, and who will take us to the next level that will make us go fly high. Thank you very much.
My name is Krishnan.
I think you don't have to tell your name now. I think by this time everybody is aware of you.
I'm addressing to Mr. Mestri as a panelist for answering as a Manu.
I do that job only.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
Mr. Rajan has done what business I don't know, many of us doesn't know. I'm talking about our industry, and I'm talking on behalf of the small entrepreneurs who's running the brokers. Our business is totally different. If I go to a client, if I take a document, he says, if you are giving a personalized service, I'll give you the document. If my presence is not there, the document goes to the clearing agent who started his business already. That is the situation of the brokers as on today. Such a situation, what is the precautionary measures the small entrepreneurs should take care to sustain their business? Because I'll tell you, there are many companies who have closed their businesses. Many of them knows here. All four they started their business splitting from there. That business is totally closed because all these activities on a daily basis handled by those clerks and managers have taken away all the businesses. So how to now sustain my business without interfering on a daily basis? I want a clarification on that.
If I understand well, the question is how to manage my business without interfering into day-to-day. There are procedures where you can build systems, you can build reports which will give you understanding of how the business is running day-to-day basis, which you can see day in, day out. There are certain numbers. Any business requires certain numbers. Yours is a service business, but if it's a manufacturing business also, there are 4 or 5 or 7 critical numbers that you need to see. You need to see how many orders you have. You need to see what kind of money you are making with what kind of customers. You need to see what is the outstanding payable. You need to see what is the outstanding receivable. And you need to see what is the money that are required to run the business. The whole issue is that we don't try to organize this information. And believe me, all the entrepreneurs are looking at this information in a fragmented way day in, day out. But they are unable to put it on paper and monitor it day in, day out. It is always possible. See, your business, maybe it is 5 crores, but there is another CHA or another person who is doing business of 10 crores. You will find in this same group, there is a person who is doing business of 100 crores. And it's a small business for them also because they have grown from small to big. So if in this group itself, there are different kind of people who are doing different volume of business, they are managing that business successfully. And the question is that if my employees take away my business, so what are the loopholes that my system has which I need to plug in? Why my customer would go away from me? Is it only because of cost? Because this is the business which is offering the lowest cost will get all the business is a myth. Otherwise, there should be only one player in any industry, the lowest cost manufacturer or the lowest cost service provider. One is that he cannot reach everywhere. 2 is that he cannot service the requirements of the industry. So lowest cost is a myth. We are getting business from a customer because we are giving them something which is suitable to them, and we are unable to ask price, but they may be willing to give. They are not convinced about the price that we are asking. So how we can convince them that the price that we are giving is right? is something is our job. I'll give you a very, very common example. When we started consulting 10 years back, we used to raise a bill and take money after 45 days. And there was a great risk because we have already given consulting, and what if the client does not pay? So one day me and my other colleague, we sat down and we said, we will ask advance. That we will make advance billing and we will take advance payment. Initially we were not sure to ask this kind of question, can you pay us advance? The moment we asked and the client said yes, till last 6 years, all our billing is advance and all our payments are advance. So it is a question of mindset. It is not a question of the customer will give or not. We are not capable of answering, we are not capable of asking this kind of question to the customer, because we always feel that what if I lose the business? Is your customer with you only for money, only for the charges that you charge? Then you are offering him something which he does not require. Then you have to think what kind of customers that you need to have. Any strategy asks what customers you want to deal with and what product or service that you are going to offer which will be of value to him. If we are unable to answer that, we will face the problem how we will run our business, and the customer will stop giving us business.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to Sandesh. It's about the business model. And you mentioned two concerns. One is about how to get away from the transaction, and second is about how exactly if I lose that business. If business has a low exit barriers, then your business is vulnerable. If somebody is offering, maybe you are successful for last 20 years, let's say offering customs clearance services, and tomorrow, if you could not able to manage rate, it's become a red sea, because it become red game. So what is the value addition we can offer by which there is an exit barrier to the existing customers? Of course, relationship is the only value, then it will be having a challenge about growth, because one entrepreneur cannot get 1,000 entrepreneurs on that organization. So you need to possibly see that what is the next natural progression, whether along with that services, can you offer something more so that create a value. And if you are offering that A, B, C services as a package or the bundle, there may be a possibility that you go away from the Red Sea to the blue ocean. Because it is very important that you have to grow along with the business, because market situation is changing, because the customer and because of that customer requirements are changing. And if you don't align with that change, one day, and you must have experienced few colleagues must have started and very successful earlier, may not be so successful today because they not change along with the time. So these are the few thoughts which I'd like to share, but thanks for your question.